Sir, Sri Aurobindo and the mother have discussed about the reversal of consciousness. So, what do we mean by that?
That's a very good question because this expression is often not well understood. But in fact, it's not as difficult to understand as it looks. Consciousness, loosely speaking, means awareness. And the awareness depends upon the picture of reality that we construct. Normally, we construct our picture of reality based on sensory experience, what we see and hear. And then we also use our past experiences. We process all this through logic. And we read different things. We collect information from different sources. These days, a lot of it comes on the internet. And all this put together helps us construct a certain picture of reality, of the world around us, and even of distant places like the sun and the moon and the galaxies. All this put together is what our picture of reality is about. And this is our consciousness in a way. But then we also have some sort of a dim awareness of something that may be beyond all this, something beyond the obvious. And we also read the descriptions of the rishis, the seers, and the mystics, and they tell us that yes, there is a power beyond all this reality that we perceive as our reality is in fact just phenomenal reality. A phenomenon is something which has a beginning and an end. And between the beginning and the end, there may be a lot of change. So that is what our picture of reality is about. It consists of things which have a beginning and an end. So in that sense, they are perishable. And these things are not constant. They are always changing. So this is what we may call phenomenal reality. It is real, but it is a phenomenal reality. But then there's also an absolute reality, which the rishis and the mystics talk about, which is imperishable and constant. And that is the higher power, and it has been given so many names, the infinite, the divine, God, and so on. So they talk about that. And they also say that that actually is not a distinct, separate entity. That itself has manifested as the reality which is our phenomenal reality. So the phenomenal reality is nothing but a manifestation of the same. Manifestation means becoming visible. So that invisible reality, absolute reality, which they are talking about, has assumed this form to become visible to us, has manifested in this form, and that is what we consider our reality to be, and to some extent that is our total picture of reality. The fact that this absolute reality also has an all-pervasive presence in this, because if it is just another form of the same, it means that it is present throughout the phenomenal reality also. It is present in everything animate and inanimate, in every human being, animal, plant, etc., and even wood and stone and so on. So it is there in everything. So that we are told by the rishis and the mystics that all this is another form of that same absolute reality, the divine. And not only that, since it is a manifestation of the same, as a corollary, it follows that it is present in every bit of this phenomenal reality. It pervades everything. It is all pervasive in nature, what the Gita calls sarvagata. So it is present everywhere, in everything. But we don't see it. And since we don't see it, we may accept it because we have some sort of a dim awareness of something being there beyond the obvious. We may accept it because of reverence for the rishis and the mystics who tell us we have full faith in them, and therefore we may believe it. But at a certain level, we also have some doubts. We are not so sure about it. And therefore, a person may go on a quest to go deeper than the surface, to try and access this deeper layer of reality, which the rishis and the mystics are talking about. And as we proceed towards that sort of an awareness which the rishi has, which has made him see all this, we start feeling that absolute reality, which is imperishable and constant, and which is also present in a hidden form throughout the creation, and we start getting whispers of that presence also in the creation. We start feeling as if now we can perceive it, we can feel it, we can get some evidence of that supreme power in everything animate, inanimate, even dead matter seems to whisper in some way a voice of that divine. So when that starts happening, then that absolute or imperishable reality becomes more and more real to us. That starts dominating our consciousness. That starts dominating the picture of reality that we have. And the result is that the phenomenal reality then takes a second place. It takes a secondary place. And we start feeling, well, it is real, but all the same, what is behind it, above it, and beyond it, what has brought it about, what has created it, is the reality that is really absolute and supreme. So now our consciousness is dominated by that. So our awareness has changed. So what was our total picture of reality and which we were sure about has now taken a secondary place, and the awareness of that entity about which we had still some doubts at the mental level, that has become more real to us. So that is reversal of consciousness. So our consciousness or our awareness has now sort of taken a 180-degree turn, and that is what the scriptures have said, that what an ordinary person is day is night to the rishi, and what is to the ordinary person night is day to the rishi. So the phenomenal reality which looks like day to us, clear and sure, that takes a secondary place. So that becomes the rishi's night, and the reality about which we have ordinarily have doubts is the reality which becomes as crystal clear as daylight to the rishi. As Sri Ramakrishna told Swami Vivekananda, when Swami Vivekananda asked him, "Have you seen God?" So Sri Ramakrishna said, "Yes, I have, and I have seen him more clearly than I am seeing you." So for him, the presence of God everywhere, including in Swami Vivekananda, was more clear than the physical appearance of Swami Vivekananda. So that is reversal of consciousness.
Thank you, sir. You explained it beautifully.
Thank you.